Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Jeremy Birmingham. This is Birminology. Today, we're talking to 2025 Ohio State commitment Jontae Gilbert, just a sophomore from Atlanta Douglas High School, and he picked the Buckeyes this summer. And I want to get a chance finally to talk to Jontae about that decision, his recruitment, where it's going, and how he thinks he can be a leader for the Buckeyes in the class of 2025. So enough of me. Let's get to Jontae Gilbert. Jontae Gilbert is with us. Jontae, man, how are you? How are things? What's new?
Good. What about you?
Hanging in there, man. It's been a busy couple weeks up here in Ohio. I know it's been a busy couple weeks down there in Georgia for you, getting into the real meat of your sophomore season, the schedule down there. How has your season gone to this point for you?
So far, it's been going good, even though I haven't been getting much action on my side lately. So really good.
Well, you know that, right? I mean, that's part of being a guy that everyone knows about when you're that young, is that a lot of offenses are going to try and stay away from you. How do you find a way to impact your team without that opportunity?
Really, just getting to the ball every time, make a play every time, it come our way. Sometimes it go to the other way too. So, get to the ball.
Jontae, you made a decision this summer to commit to Ohio State very early. I'm sure a lot of people in your social circle and a lot of people in your school and around the part of Atlanta where you live is probably saying, "Hey, why hurry? What's the rush?" Can you try to explain to people what it was about Ohio State, what it was about Tim Walton, and what it was about that first visit that you made to Columbus that ultimately was so different for you that you felt like you had no choice but to say, "Hey, I'm ready to go"?
I felt like it was home when I first went there for my first visit. I felt real comfortable with the coaches down. Everybody knew me. Coach Tim Walton, Coach Patrick, they played a big part of me committing there. So, they're from Georgia, so great connection with them.
Being down in Georgia, I visit there probably once a year to see recruits, and I am just constantly amazed at how many just flat out dudes there are that are big time college athletes, big time, professional athletes down the road. How hard is it for you as a young guy to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm heading north. I'm going somewhere else"? I mean, obviously there's a pull in the South to play in the SEC and all this stuff that goes along with it. What was it about Ohio State that you felt like they were a team that you could view differently?
When I went to go see those in the weight room, I see how they used to work, how they get in the weight room, seeing them work. Coach Walton showing me videos of them working out in the springtime. And I felt like I could be a part of that in the near future.
So you made the one visit in the spring or in the summer. You came up, you had a camp outing, you got offered. Was it in your mind at all that like Ohio State of all the schools in the country could be the place that was the place for you?
Not really, because when I was at school one day, I got done with test prep. Coach Walton had came out of school to see me. I got a test prep, so I went to the front office. I got to talk to him. And the week after that, Coach Ilano had came to the school to see me, and that day they offered me. So I really was shocked.
Your class, because you are still so young, for people out there, a 2025 prospect means Jontae, as I mentioned, is a sophomore in high school. Early rankings show you as a top 20, top 25 prospect. What type of player are you? For people who haven't watched your tape yet, I imagine most of them watching this interview will turn it on. But how do you describe the way that you play football? And who are your influences? Who have you watched? Who have you said, "Hey, that's who I want to be like"?
Cornerbacks I watched growing up was really main one, Marshawn Lattimore and Eli Apple from Ohio State. So, I compare my game to them. Real physical.
Marshawn now obviously having a great career with the New Orleans Saints. Eli Apple's found a home with the Bengals up there in Cincinnati and played in the Super Bowl a year ago. As you came back to Ohio State for the Notre Dame game to make the first game day visit to Ohio State, a lot of those guys were there. How was that opportunity or that experience for you to really get a chance to see the big picture of what Ohio State can provide?
So can you say the guy broke up?
Going back to Columbus and seeing Ohio State for the Notre Dame game, 25, 30 different current NFL players were there. Was that sort of eye-opening for you and seeing what the real big picture of what Ohio State can do?
Yes, it was a big picture. I got to meet NFL scouts. Really get to see them guys up close and talk to them about what it took for them to get to the NFL.
It's not many places that can put LeBron James and Joe Burrow on the field at the same time. And so Ohio State is certainly unique in that respect. That game was one of the days you got a chance to hang out with DJ Pickett, another borderline potential 5-star prospect in your class. DJ has some family roots to Ohio State. I'm not sure if he's talked to you about that or not. I know he's one of the guys that you're being pretty aggressive in going after to try to get to join you. How comfortable are you, Jontae, with that role? Because you've made the decision to commit early. There is now some responsibility on you to help build that class, isn't there?
Yes. Been talking to DJ, Jaden Perlot from Buford, Georgia. I've been talking to Emory Winston from Calhoun, tight end from Calhoun. Good guys, great athletes.
Is there a message that like a guy like DJ, he's been to Ohio State more than you have at this point. He's got family ties to Ohio State. He's got family ties in Michigan. It's where he grew up, was in the Detroit area. Do you have to try to convince him like, hey, don't worry about Michigan. You now just got to be Ohio State. I mean, how do you have you learned to hate Michigan yet?
Yes. My first visit there, that was all about team up north. No saying the M word.
With that sort of lesson, I mean, how hard is it as a young guy knowing that there's going to be tons of coaches coming in the building and seeing you for the next 2.5 years, right? That's not going to stop. It's how challenging is the entire task of saying, hey, I have to keep one ear open, but I also need to be true to this bond that I've already made. I mean, is that a challenge?
Yes, but I really don't be studying. Coach T. Rob from Alabama came to the school last, I would say 23rd. My coach, head coach had talked to him for me since I couldn't get out of class to go talk to him. So he just gave me a message, sent me a message saying, he was looking at me, watching me, and he's probably gonna offer me, in the near future. So I really want to study it for real.
Yeah, I mean, do you talk about that? I mean, those are the teams that when you're committed to a place like Ohio State, there's 3 or 4 other schools in the country that really have that same sort of cachet, that same sort of swagger, I guess. But it is Alabama. It's Georgia, who obviously is only 90 minutes away from your home. It's Clemson, who's only 90 minutes away from your home. I mean, how do you feel prepared, or how prepared are you, I guess, for the next couple of years of that sort of pressure, that constant drumbeat of people saying, hey, Jontae, hey, don't worry about that commitment. Don't worry about that. Now just come visit. I mean, is that something you feel like will be difficult, or is that something that you feel like you're ready for?
I'm ready for it because, once my mind made up, it's made up. So
what is the plan? I mean, obviously being a 2025, it's weird, even though you've committed to Ohio State. It's not like they can talk to you as much as they want to. There's all these rules and contact rules that have to be paid attention to. How hard is it to build the relationship that you want with those coaches, or does that make it that much more important to get on campus for visits?
It's really not that. Me and Coach Walton talk once a week. Like I said, we talk once a week. We actually just got done talking. He said he was coming to the Cedar Grove game next week. Cedar Grove. So,
that's a good one. I mean, obviously Kay and Lee committed to Ohio State over there at Cedar Grove, and a program that the Buckeyes have been pretty familiar with. How much conversation, just in the big picture, is there in Georgia about Ohio State? I mean, as a young guy, I'm sure that you hear it, but how much conversation is there among other recruits about Ohio State?
A lot. I have some teammates, some teammates that been wanting to visit up there. They say they liked it.
What is it about Ohio State that catches people's attention down there? Because there is this national narrative, whether we agree with it or not. I certainly don't. But what is the conversation about? What's the reputation of Ohio State in Georgia?
Really, the hospitality that Ohio State has, and the great athletes they have produced that's in the NFL right now. Really.
You mentioned earlier Miguel Patrick, who I think is an interesting background character in a lot of the recruitments for guys like yourself, kids from Florida. Coach Patrick was a former coach at Cedar Grove High School, obviously. And how has his involvement changed the way that Georgia recruits feel comfortable, I guess, thinking about leaving the South? Do you think that that's made a difference?
It's made a big difference.
Why?
Because I feel like you got that Georgia connection up there. You got some great athletes from Georgia up there right now.
Are there any players in the classes of either the recruiting class of 2023 or Dylan Raiola in the class of 24 that you've spoken with about how do you become a leader in a recruiting class? What do you feel like is necessary? What do you think you have to do to be that guy that people are drawn to?
Really staying hard on guys, trying to recruit them as well. Just recruiting.
Let's talk about your sophomore season a little bit, if we can, Jontae. Like, what is where are you guys at record wise? What's next for you? Obviously, Buford. I'm sorry, not Buford, but Cedar Grove coming up, and then, where do you see your season going?
The season got off to a rough start. Lost the first game, rival game, by a lot. But been bouncing back 3-4 right now. But every game we lost by 1 touchdown. So this season, next week, really trying to make a statement. Really trying to shock the whole city.
Is it hard not to be caught up in the high school transfer game? I mean, you're obviously, again, a top 25 recruit in your class. There's going to be a lot of, it's not even just college coaches that are trying to get you to flip out of Ohio State. It's high school coaches probably in Georgia and, of course, IMG and others. I mean, how do you, as a family, with your parents, with the people in your life, how do you guys make the decision, hey, we're staying at Douglas, this is where we belong?
We really don't think about that. We just try to, stay in the school area,
Did you ever imagine that would be happening for you this early? I mean, is it a little bit crazy?
Yeah, it's real crazy. Got coaches in my DMs on Twitter, even calling me.
How do you, as a recruit, prepare for that? I mean, how do you even get used to it? Because here you are, you probably 16 years old, right?
Yeah, 15. Turn 16 next week.
15 years old, turning 16 in a few days. And you have people like Nick Saban who want to talk to you, right? Like, has it struck you how flat out insane that is? Like, I mean, does it ever kind of just shock and awe you that Ryan Day is calling you on the phone?
Yes, very much. All right. Dream come true, really. That's all I can say.
Well, man, you're going to have a lot of that coming up in the next 2 years. And I really do appreciate you even just taking a little bit of time to talk to us. I know that the recruiting world, the media world can be a little bit insane and a little over the top at times. So I appreciate you taking time with, games coming up this weekend and a big one next week against Cedar Grove to join us and talk about it on the podcast.
Sure.
No problem. I really do appreciate it. That, guys, is Jontae Gilbert. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This has been Birminology on the podcast. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.